What's going on, guys? It's Rob from Heroes Avenue. Happy Friday. So this is going to be our spoiler review for Joker. If you haven't checked it out already, Darren put out a non-spoiler review. But if you guys were up late last night, we're going to get right into this. If you guys were up late last night, I put out my initial reactions coming out of the theater for this movie. And I got to say, after a night's sleep, the reactions I had out of that movie only got stronger and grew. And I think this is, for me at least, this is a perfect movie. Some of the things that really hit me, obviously, are the performance, the directing, the cinematography, the score, and the overall message this movie had. And I'm not even going to really touch on some of the controversial things that the media has been portraying, because I'm just going to talk about this masterpiece of a film and why I enjoyed it so much. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about the performance. Joaquin Phoenix. I think he cements himself as one of our generation's greatest actors for sure in this movie, if he hasn't done so already. And most of you guys already probably knew how great of an actor Joaquin Phoenix is, but when you see what he did just to transform into Arthur Fleck into this movie, and then how he carried himself and quite literally carried the movie throughout, you're going to be so amazed. I was floored by this movie. That's what I said after getting out of the theater, and that's actually still how I feel this morning. I'm absolutely mind blown by what I saw. And we all knew that his performance was going to be something special, but it goes beyond just that. It's every little move, every facial expression. All the subtle things he did really brought out a character in Arthur Fleck that we could sympathize with as being in his position at times, but also we really feel incredibly bad, because we know deep down inside that we could have been on the other side, pushing someone like him to that edge. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about the messaging of this movie at the end. And I think all the supporting characters did really well as well. They were really there just in small doses, but I think that what they did in those small doses were very impactful for the overall movie. Each of the supporting characters were a pivotal part of Arthur Fleck's life. Arthur Fleck, a person who is quite literally a loner, who doesn't really know too many people, just trying to get by, just trying to feel less depressed in the world that he's living in, and the life he's living. So obviously Zazie Beetz, she does great in this movie, and the twist at the end was something I had thought of throughout the movie. But even though at the time when the twist is revealed and we see that Zazie Beetz was never really there with him, it's something that really hits hard, even though you can almost expect it at times, especially during the scene where he's standing up at doing his comedy, and all of a sudden you hear the music start to play out of nowhere, and you don't get to hear him tell his jokes. It transitions to a screen of Zazie Beetz smiling and laughing, and you're like, wait, there's something up here. But regardless, Zazie Beetz, she killed it in this movie, and the terror she must have felt in that last scene where Arthur is in her apartment, you felt that. You absolutely felt that. I'm no mother, I'm gonna be a father soon, but you actually feel that terror of that person being in there. So that was great. Brian Michael Henry, I believe his name was, as the person working at Arkham Hospital. I apologize if I said his name wrong, but working at Arkham Hospital, the guy who essentially gives up the records or gets the records stolen from him about his mother. That scene was just incredible, and it just hurts so bad. You know it's coming, and you just feel so bad for Arthur when it happens. And I think he did a great job in just portraying a guy who really feels for Arthur, but at the same time is just one of us trying to do our jobs, trying to get by in society. And also, obviously, we can't go further without talking about Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro's presence in here is felt throughout the movie. He's in here probably a max of maybe 5 or 6 minutes in the whole movie, a max of 5 or 6 minutes, and his presence absolutely felt, and he puts on a super great performance. I absolutely loved it. There's been times where Robert De Niro's in some of his acting choices throughout the years, at this point, throughout the recent years, a lot of people talk about him phoning his acting in, but there's no way he did that in this movie. He committed to this role, and it he did it quite perfectly. Now, I have not yet got my chance to see King of Comedy. I know I talked about wanting to watch that before this movie. I still will. I'll talk about Taxi Driver in a bit, but I still haven't seen King of Comedy. But a lot of people have spoken about how his character resembles that character. His character as a talk show host resembles his character in King of Comedy. Not sure if that's true yet, but yeah, Robert De Niro, he was great. He was absolutely great in this movie, and his chemistry with Joaquin Phoenix was amazing. I don't have the character of his mother on the top of my head. While she does play a pivotal role, I think she's in every scene she's in. She is in with Arthur, and I think she did a great job at portraying this mentally ill person as well as Arthur, and she was great. Now, let's move on to the directing. Definitely, Todd Phillips, you deserve all the accolades for this movie, for getting this movie made in general, because I gotta say, both Darren and I were pretty skeptical. If you look back on the videos, we're pretty skeptical of this movie when it was announced. We were like, why do we need a Joker movie standalone? We got a Joker in the universe already. Why don't we just continue this story? But I am so glad that this movie got made, and bravo, Todd Phillips, for your directing in this movie, and for especially for getting Joaquin Phoenix and having him as your only choice for Joker in this movie, because it absolutely paid off, and it was the perfect role for him. Now, again, Taxi Driver. If you guys have seen Taxi Driver, the inspiration is very apparent, and I think he paid homage to the Scorsese films of the 70s without copying them. Now, I saw that as a criticism at one point, but I see no criticism in trying to pay homage and do something as one of the greats did in Scorsese. And you definitely see the Taxi Driver references in Arthur Fleck, and even in some of the actual cinematography of the movie. But most of the time, it's just because of the character itself. Taxi Driver, this loner who is kind of on the outskirts of society. He finds this woman in Zazie Beetz who is not really committed to a relationship with him by any means, and he's someone who just stalks her, who has a slow descent into a dark place, and feels like he needs to do something to give his life some sort of meaning. And in that regard, it really did feel like Taxi Driver. But Todd Phillips, I gotta say, adding the twist, the Thomas Wayne twist into this movie. You know what? I had heard a spoiler about this months ago, and I was super pissed off. I was following an Instagram account that quite literally put the spoiler of Thomas Wayne is Joker's father in this movie, and I was pissed that I actually saw that. And even though I had that coming in, there is still twists and turns in the movie that actually shock and surprise you, subvert your expectations, and I thought that was all done very masterfully. And again, this just goes to the point: when you hear something spoiled for you, it may sound really stupid, and you may want to criticize the direction of the director, but until you see it played out like it did in this movie, I think we should bite our tongues for the most part, because if this was done incredibly well, and the whole Thomas Wayne arc was really good, and I love the homages to the actual Batman mythology in this movie as well. It does change the Batman mythology a little bit and the Joker mythology, but that's okay, because at the core it still is the Joker character, and that's something I really loved. And bravo, Todd Phillips, for being able to show the transition from Arthur Fleck to Joker. You in concert with Joaquin Phoenix's performance was just absolutely amazing. The cinematography, oh my gosh, this movie was just so beautiful to look at. Every scene was composed at such an angle that really conveyed hurt and pain. The hurt and pain that Arthur Fleck was feeling, and there were scenes with symmetry. There were scenes, every scene filled the frame, and it was something that every scene immersed you into this world of Gotham City that was so terrible, but also at the same time reflects a part of our society that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So there's that. The score of this movie the score of the movie is just to the role is to absolutely enhance every scene, to convey those emotions, really be the punchline that hits the audience and makes you feel what the character's supposed to feel. And I think the score did that every time. You just felt the sense of dread every time something life pulls one on Arthur, right? And the score did such a masterful job, and all the song selection in this movie were absolutely perfect. The messaging, guys, I think it's pretty on the nose with this one. What this movie is asking us is, what is our role in society and as individuals in abandoning those who need help most? And obviously it really hits hard for mental illness, the topic of mental illness and what we are doing about that, but it also applies to more. It applies to bullying is such a big thing in our society, and some people will say you got to toughen up. Society used to be, or in my day, it was a lot harder back then to be in school. Whatever. It doesn't change the fact that it's wrong and that we are doing this to people. People feel more alienated than ever, and with this whole online culture, you can find outrage at every corner. You can find vicious attacks from people all around the corner, and it asks us to look at ourselves and see what our role is in pushing other people over the edge. And I think while it's on the nose, I think it's done in such a way that you can't escape it. You can't avoid this message, and it absolutely makes you feel bad for what we are doing as a whole. And hopefully we can do better, guys. Hopefully, this is not me trying to sympathize or justify any of the actions that Arthur has taken in this movie. And it's crazy that I need to say this in the times that we're in, but I absolutely do need to say this. With all the crazy gun violence, mass shootings going on right now, people are feeling more alienated than ever and feel like they need a righteous sense of purpose. And they do so in finding role models out there to latch onto, and they will take whatever message that's out there in society and just run with it. And it's kind of scary. We need to be better as a society and as people. And I think that's really all I have to say on that. So with that being said, I am going to give Joker a 10 out of 10. My favorite movie of the year, and this is why it was my most anticipated movie of the year. If you were watching in January, I said this was my most anticipated movie. It was absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to watch it again. So guys, let me know what you thought about it. What were some of your favorite scenes or aspects of this movie maybe that I didn't touch on? Let me know in the comments below, because we're definitely doing some reading the comments about this soon. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell to be notified for more videos, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.